down.
Okay.
Welcome everybody to another episode here of I would say Cyclones Live here on the Voice of College Football Network. I'm Levi Stevenson, and I'm joined by my brand new co-host Carter Hansen. Glad to have you on, Carter. How's it going?
It's going well. It's been a long day, but ready to talk some Iowa State basketball and football.
I've had my speaking of long day, I've had on my side monitor over here. I've had the local news up because we've got my hometown. There's a tornado about 2 miles east of here and about 5 miles south of here. Mm-hmm. So weather's picking up around here too.
Weather has not been very good at all past couple weeks, but
no.
Hopefully we're on the downswing of things here.
So today we're going to discuss we'll talk a little bit about men's basketball. We'll talk a little bit about Milan Momcilovic heading to the NBA. We'll talk about the transfer weekend that TJ Otzelberger had, where he did just a fantastic job putting together his roster for next year. It's already got it solidified. And then we will probably get into some football because they've got a few new commitments. And unfortunately, we've got already our first catastrophic injury for football somehow. So we'll talk about that as well. So let's first dive in a little bit to basketball, specifically. Milan Momcilovic headed to the NBA. This was kind of a move he's declared for the draft every year he's been in college so far, but in college basketball, it doesn't matter. Basically, you're just going, you're getting feedback and you're coming back type of thing. Now, Milan shot 50% from three this year. And it set essentially a modern NBA or modern college basketball percentage record for his volume. And, so we knew he was going to declare, and we knew there was a chance he wouldn't come back because, 50% from three is a big deal. So, but he has also entered his name into the transfer portal, which means that even if he comes back from the NBA, probably not going to be coming back to Iowa State. Carter, I want to hear your thoughts on this a little bit. I know for me, if I have to see Milan Momcilovic wearing a Florida Gator uniform next year, I'm gonna puke. I'm not interested in seeing that. Yeah.
I'm gonna cry. And it's tough because the historic season that he had, if he's not a first round draft pick, I don't know what else more he can do. He played great level of competition in the Big 12, and he cooked a lot of teams in the Big 12 with good defenses. So I more than think that he's capable of being even a late first round draft pick. I think he'd stay if that's the feedback that he gets.
Yeah.
But the reality is he could also choose to stay in college too. And with the rumors that Florida has a lot of money headed his way, if he does choose to stay in college, it's a scary thought, but it's really just where college athletics is heading. So I would love for him to be in the draft, and I'd love to see him get drafted. But yeah, it would sicken me if he came back to college and put on a Florida Gators uniform and played for Todd Golden.
And watch Iowa State ends up in a Sweet 16 game against Florida next year, and Milan Momcilovic is on the other side. Oh my God! But it's unfortunately with NIL, the equation has changed in the last 5 years as far as the math of as whether you should come back or not. Before it was if you're going to get drafted, you leave, but now it's not necessarily that at all, because for the most part, a high-level college player like Milan is going to make more money in college than he would as a second-round pick in the NBA. Because especially second-round picks are almost always going to be on at least a two-way contract, if not just a full-on G League contract. Mm-hmm. They're gonna be right there. They're gonna be playing summer league. They're gonna do all that stuff, and you're really grinding your way up. Whereas a first-round NBA pick, you've got guaranteed money. You're gonna be on the roster. They're gonna, you have a much cleaner path into playing time in the NBA. So, I like shooting is short. Shooting is shooting. He's 6'8". And like you said, he had great games against a lot of teams this year. Importantly, though, what I think affected the decision here with Milan as well, as far as not being like 100%, I'm coming back, is that there were teams last year, BYU, Tennessee, that gave him lots and lots of trouble because they had bodies that could shut him down. Basically, AJ DeBonsa completely removed him from the game, and there was some concern that if without Joshua Jefferson, is Milan going to even find space to shoot the ball? Is he just going to be the entire focus of the defensive effort? And will there be enough around him to take the pressure off him and allow him to get shots? And that's a notable question. Now we're going to talk about some transfers where I think in the right, like with what is coming in now, if something were to happen that somehow Milan would come back to Iowa State, like, and to be fair, technically that door is not closed. He can still come back to Iowa State.
I mean, logistically, it does not make sense because, I mean, I think that on that Sunday, Ryan Prather, before he was announced, I think like Milan came out right at noon, and then TJ Otzelberger and the athletic department like both came out with their messages, and like that's how you knew that this has been in the works for like
a while,
weeks, if not months. And I mean, we've seen this before when AJ Green hit the portal and when he decided to stay in the draft, and look where he's at now. He's carved his role. So,
and literally just at the Milwaukee Bucks single season 3-point shooting, 3-point made record.
Yeah.
Well, he's at the single season 3-pointers made record.
Oh, did he too? Oh.
Which I believe he took from Michael Redd, I want to say, or Chris Middleton.
Yeah,
one or two.
Makes sense.
But like, it's hard to argue with it. I mean, AJ Green has certainly panned out for him. Noted, Cyclone legend AJ Green. But it is what it is. Eventually you were going to have to move on from Milan Momcilovic, and maybe this is the time to do it. It makes sense for Milan to try to pursue the NBA. And the unfortunate part about it for him is that the timeline sucks for him because, Iowa State, with where the transfer portal is now, TJ Otzelberger needs to have a decision. Like, he needs to know like right away if Milan's coming back or not. But the NBA, at the end of the deadline for the NBA draft is until the end of May, and that's terrible timing because that's way too late for Iowa State to leave an open roster spot and then find out that Milan's not coming back, because then all of a sudden that's either just an empty roster spot, which is a waste, or it's just some guy that's just never going to play, which is maybe even more of a waste because you have to burn NIL money on him. And it's tough that if Milan like was 80% sure that he was coming back, then he probably wouldn't have put his name in the transfer portal and all that. But it was just one of those things where it's like, you can take it, his what would have been a pretty substantial NIL package for him. You can take that money, you can spread it out over a few different players and get, you can replace one really, really great shooter with three really good players. And maybe none of them are as good a shooter as Milan, but when you have three really good players,
defenders and playmakers, you can spread the wealth there.
So, it sucks to lose Milan, but it's life. It is what it is. I mean, you're going to get him for one more year at most anyways. So like he's going to have to leave at some point, but
it does suck the situation, but
it does. And I think if they were to move, what they should do is move the transfer portal till after the NBA draft deadline, because then every team would know who's coming back, who's not, and everyone could make more informed decisions on this. If they moved it back, either move the deadline for the NBA draft up, they could meet in the middle too. Move the NBA draft deadline up to the first week of May, move the transfer portal window back to the first week of May, type of thing, or to the second week of May. So that way, as soon as people can go through the process, they can go through their scouting combine, and then that's just when they do that, and everybody will know who's staying, who's leaving, and people can teams can make plans on it, and guys don't get screwed just because they're a fringe first round prospect. And right now, the guys that are like right where Milan is, we're right at the top of the second round, right at the bottom of the first round type of guy. that's the guy that gets hurt the most out of the current calendar
Mm-hmm.
because they might go in the first round. It might be worth it to leave, or they might go in the second round and it really hurts them.
Yeah.
And that's tough. And especially when the money in college is so good now that where it's better to be in college and be a star in college than it is to be a second round pick.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough and it hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts guys like Milan.
Yeah. And you see that a lot with even the college programs that are spending as much money as they are. I mean, you saw Shellstad and Badunga both go to Louisville with a combined total of, I think it was reported 9 mil or 7 mil, one
Something
of the
like
two.
that. Huge number. Yeah.
And like you just don't see that with a second round with their second round draft pick, even if it's a fringe first round. And I think another factor in this decision that Milan's going to have is the quality of players in this draft is off the charts. Like,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, big time.
he's really good, but there's a lot of really good players that are going to be drafted ahead of him. And so, I mean, I think as he's weighing his options, he's got to see what feedback that he does get, where execs and scouts think that he'd fall in the draft. And I think until he gets that, it would be the deciding factor of whether he stays or if he goes.
And it's a shame because next year's class is probably going to be fairly weak. Whereas, like, if he just had, if he shot 45% from three next year or something like that and just had another good year, it doesn't have to be, blazing hot and shooting, 56% through into February type of thing. He doesn't need to do that again. But like, if he'd been in the 45% range, he's probably a lottery pick next year in the 2027 draft. So like, but that's a big gamble to take for him because shooting what he did is incredible, and it is an aberration among shooters. Even great shooters don't shoot that. If you think like of the great college shooters of all time, when you think of like JJ Redick and Jimmer Fredette and Adam Morrison and all these guys, they're just not coming close. They shot 42%. I think Steph Curry shot like 44%. Like what Milan did last year is, I don't, we all watched it like we watched it in time, so it's hard for us to gauge exactly how good it is. You're like, oh yeah, Milan went 4 of 7 again. Okay, whatever. Yeah. But being able to do that for as long as he did it, and even especially like towards the end of the season when teams were just they made an entire point to just shut him down. Like doing what he did is unbelievable. And the odds of him replicating that are very, very small. So
I do like the point that you made about him doing it for the whole season. It's like he could have came in and shot 54% through January and then just tanked, laid an egg the last half of the season. But no,
that was true. Consistent. The guys I just mentioned all did it with a shorter 3-point line too. I forgot. Yeah, that's 100% true.
Oh yeah.
Because they moved because the 3-point line is a few feet further back than when Steph and JJ Redick and Adam Morrison and all them played. They play with a closer 3-point line, which I didn't even think about that.
That's wow.
So
yeah,
it just sucks. It's bad timing for everybody. It hurts Iowa State. It hurts Milan. It helps nobody. They need to get this thing figured out. But from that, let's move on to the transfers though, because TJ Otzelberger had himself a weekend. 5 visitors on campus, all 5 of them committed, and none of them took a visit to anywhere else.
Yeah.
And he's got some really nice players in there that I think are exceptionally gifted. Who do you want to talk about first?
First guy I got up is Ryan Prather from
Ryan
Robert
Prather,
Morris.
He's the most recent commitment as of like Sunday, I think.
Yeah. Third team conference, averaged 15.7 points a game, just under 4 rebounds and 3.5 assists. Shot 44% from the field last year, 37% from 3, 85% from the free throw line. That's always a good sign.
Not bad.
6'5", 205. So he is a unit. He's a big guard. And he's just watching film, great catch and shoot guy, and such a high IQ basketball player. I think he was all academic conference for them as well.
I can pull up his KenPom page here.
So real good shooter, real good playmaker, decision maker. I think the one question mark would be whether his athleticism allows him to be good at defense in our system. But he seems like a really good plug and play player that can come in and get you buckets whenever you need
Yeah,
it.
and he rebounds well for his size too. So I mean, if you can shoot and play and rebound, you can find a spot in this. And and I think it's like he's a bigger bodied guy. But my guess is that this offseason he will probably trim down a little bit with Otz's offseason training regimen, with how intense we know that those workouts are. So I would guess he slims down a little bit, gets in better physical shape as he gets closer to the season. And so I'm not as worried about his size because I think like I said, he'll trim down. But that ability to shoot the ball is really valuable. Hopefully Carter's internet's okay.
Oh yeah, I'm doing
good. Doing okay? Okay. Here's your freeze on mine. Okay. Anyways, but that ability to shoot the ball, having a good rebounder at the 2 or 3 spot is really valuable. And I love to see that free throw percentage. 85% is fantastic. And, is he going to attack the rim enough for it to make a huge difference? I don't know. But, you can still probably bank on him shooting 40 or 50 free throws throughout the year. And if he makes 85% of them, that's great. I like this pickup, as a replacement for Emil. And, if he can, he was Robert Morris's like biggest usage rate guy. So they just fed him the ball a lot on Iowa State's roster and in their rotation. He won't be asked to be the dude. So he should theoretically have some more space around him. And, maybe he can, instead, he shot out 38% from 3 last year. He can be up closer. He can be up over 40% with a little bit of extra space around him and not as many guys. It's not as much of the defense focused on his presence on the floor.
Yeah. Want to go
Who got next?
To got Taj Manning up on my board next.
Taj Manning,
junior from Kansas State, will be a senior. Averaged just over 4 points, 5 boards. Didn't get a whole lot of playing time at the start of the year, but he really picked up the minutes in December, and then in January he was averaging close to 30 minutes a night, and he had some really good production. The one thing that stands out is his rebounding. I mean, I love seeing 4, 4, 9, 4, 6, 9, 6, 8, 5. There's a lot of boards there.
Yeah.
And that's one area where Iowa State struggled at times this year, is cleaning the glass. And I think having him as a guy that can come in and just grab boards and just be physical, that's what we need.
He's a guy you can plug in, give him 5 to 10 minutes. He'll give you a 6 and 6 or something like that. And those guys that can come in, eat minutes, play decent defense, grab a few boards, get a couple buckets. Those guys are super valuable, especially during kind of the grind of the middle of the season too, when guys start getting worn down a little bit. You need to start rotating guys in a little bit more. Those guys are super valuable. And having competent extra bodies on the available to you is never a bad thing. I would like, you could say he fills kind of the Eric Mulder spot on the roster, but I think he's a more useful player than Eric Mulder is, I think.
Definitely. Yeah, I think the rebounding and the defense is really going to stand out with him. For sure. When compared to Eric Mulder, I suppose.
Yeah.
And another thing I heard was good about him was the presence of just having a veteran in the locker room, and the vibes that he brought to Kansas State for being there for 3-4 years. I think like that's. I mean, that's indispensable. Like you can't not.
This is true. Eric Mulder did go 100% from 3 on the year, so that's that's something. They should have they really need to let Eric Mulder shoot that thing. Yeah. But I wouldn't expect Taj Manning to be playing 15-20 minutes a game. He's going to be he'll be in the 5 to 8-ish range, I would guess. There'll be some games he just doesn't play. But I would think you're going to get him maybe a couple more minutes than like a Dom Nelson or something like that. But yeah, 5 to 8 minute a game kind of guy, just to go get you get a couple guys a breather and go grab a couple boards.
Yeah. Having guys that can play like that little minutes but still be competent is really important when you're
absolutely
hoping to contend for a title.
Yes. Who's up next?
70%
from
How
the
about we
line.
go to the in-state guy with Leon Bond?
Leon
6'5",
Bond.
200 pounds.
Let me tell you what. I'm
He's-
excited
man.
about Leon Bond.
I was hoping that we would be on his short list for visits right when I saw that he entered the portal, because this man is a freak athlete. He is 6'5", but he plays 6'8", 6'9". He's like Nate Heisey in the fact that he's just very tenacious on defense, and he's athletic, and he's a good catch and shoot guy as well. Shot 36% from three this past year.
I mean, you know who he is. He's Deontay Burton.
Yeah, definitely. I will say, we were talking about this earlier. I didn't realize that Burton was only 6'4".
Deontay Burton is not tall.
Yeah.
He's got 8 foot long arms, and he's a crazy athlete. And I'm convinced that Deontay Burton would be the most disgusting cheat code of a player ever in a TJ Otzelberger team. But Leon Bond, to me, when I watch Leon Bond play basketball, I see a defensive focused Deontay Burton. He's a crazy athlete, about 6'5". He's long. Dude loves throwing down in transition, and he's an aggressive physical player that goes and just gets boards, plays defense, can knock down some threes, 30, almost 37%. That's got Deontay Burton written all over it.
I did like this comparison from Donnie. Mariel Shayok, I think, is a pretty decent comparison. I don't think that Bond is as much of a shot creator as Shayok became.
I think he's talking about just in terms of like Mariel Shayok didn't do like a ton at Virginia and then showed up and he was unbelievable here.
Oh,
I think that's what he's talking about, is not as a player comp to Shayok, because Leon Bond is not a Shayok type of player. But as far as the was okay at his previous school and showed flashes, but was largely kind of, wasn't the star, didn't stand out necessarily there, but put him in a different system, and all of a sudden he's incredible.
Well, and it is a perfect comp because Leon Bond did go to Virginia.
Came from Virginia, yeah.
UNI, so
he played with Blake Buchanan, played with Tony Bennett. It's a great fit for TJ. I couldn't, as far as just like finding just a junkyard dog 3-4 kind of guy, I'm not sure you could build one in a lab better for TJ Otzelberger than Leon Bond. That's a big time pickup for him. I mean, we're going to talk about a couple other guys that I think are going to be huge. I think Leon Bond is the guy we're going to look back on and say, like, man, this is the guy that really let them get to where they're going to go. Like if they're as good as, like, if they hit their ceiling next year and they're as good as we think they can be, I think Leon Bond is going to be one of the main engines that gets them there.
Yeah, he seems like he could be the same style X factor as Nate Heisey was this year, and
absolutely,
obviously Heisey's from UNI, so if he can step into that role and just rebound and defend the hell out of the ball, like, that's a W. That's a win.
Absolutely. What's up next? Who's up next?
All right. That was Jaquan Johnson sound.
Let's talk about Jaquan Johnson.
17, 4, and 3.5 on 42% shooting. 4 rebounds at 5'11". I've also heard he's all of 5'9".
He's not 5'11". He's about 5'9", but he goes, nickname is Bully. He's a thick dude. He's 5'9", but like 205. Like he's got some beef to him, and he goes by the nickname Bully, and that's because he is functionally just a 1-to-1 perfect replacement for Tamin Lipsey. But he shoots 38% from 3. Big fan.
Mm-hmm.
Big fan.
The defense is right on par with Taman. Averaged 2.5 steals last year. Was the Missouri Valley defensive player of the year. And he's also a good playmaker. 3.5 assists. And yeah, I'm really excited to see him. And
10th in the country last year in steal rate. 10th in the country last year in steal rate. Taman Lipsey was 23rd. If that trips your trigger. As good as Taman Lipsey is, he was 23rd in the country in steal rate. Jaquan Johnson was 10th. Not bad. Like I that feels disgusting. It's great.
And having him and Torre in the backcourt.
Mamma mia. Oh my gosh.
Teams will be in hell.
I mean, like at some point they're gonna trot out a lineup there of it'll be Killian Torre, Jaquan Johnson, Leon Bond, Blake Buchanan, and Dom Plata, and it's gonna be disgusting. Nobody's gonna score a single damn point against that defense the entire fucking year. Not one. That's a disgusting defensive lineup. I mean,
go back to 2022.
Yeah. Pierre Jackson Comp is kind of one. I love that name. That's a fun throwback name to an old Baylor point guard, Pierre Jackson. He was at Baylor at the beginning of when I was at Iowa State in the early 2010s. Just electric shot creator, shot maker. Jaquan Johnson is a different universe of defender than Pierre Jackson was. Pierre Jackson was plucky, got some steals here and there, but I wouldn't call him like a bulldog on defense. Jaquan Johnson is a nasty, hard-nosed defender. He's Pat Beverly with a jump shot. Like, I mean, so I love the name. Jaquan Johnson is a much better defender than Pierre Jackson was. I would more so equate him to what's his name? Played for West Virginia. Point guard.
Carter?
Javon Carter. A little bit shorter version of Javon Carter, maybe. Somewhere in that range. And that's again, it would be difficult to build a point guard better suited for a TJ Otzelberger team than, Taman Lipsey / Javon Carter. I'm not sure you could make one in the lab better for a TJ Otzelberger team. Yeah, I don't know. I love this pickup. This is a hand in glove fit.
Mm-hmm.
You can take the one of the best point guards in school history. The most prolific defensive guard in school history for sure. Ames legend. He's gonna have his jersey in the rafters, all that, and you get to replace him with a guy that's basically the exact same player. and
we get 2 more years of him too.
And you get 2 more years of
one and done.
Yeah, he won't. Yeah, see, he's not going to be a guy that leaves for the NBA after his junior year. I mean, at 5'9", there's just no way. So you're going to get 2 years of Jaquan Johnson, and Lindo Wigington would be a fun one for TJ's system too, with his athleticism. If you could teach him to really get after defensively, Lindo Wigington would have been a lot of fun. The point here is that Steve Prohm's teams could have been much better under TJ Otzelberger.
I think there's a lot of teams that would have been like that.
There's a lot of teams that would have been like that. There's a lot of coaches that would have been better for Steve Prohm's teams. God damn. We're not gonna.
Those are the dark years. We leave those in the past for a reason.
We don't need to spend more time dumping on Steve Prohm. But the last one up here, Trey Singleton from Northwestern, and I think a lot of us do you have tape pulled up for Trey Singleton?
Yeah, I have a highlight. I have a highlight reel of him against Illinois this year.
The very clear comparison when you're watching Trey Singleton is this is just another Joshua Jefferson. So he's number 8 there. Let's see. Oh, we frozen? There we go. Yeah, we're pretty choppy.
Great steal.
Yep.
Leads the
Leading down in
break.
transition.
And
Hopefully
yeah,
it's not too choppy for people watching, but yeah, great job in transition there. He's just a right here. He's going to get the rebound. He's going to conduct traffic and transition
break and athletic
and
finish
finish right.
there.
I mean, it's just Joshua Jefferson. That's what it is.
Mhm.
He as polished as Joshua Jefferson was, his senior year and stuff like that. Not yet, but he was just a freshman
No.
last year. And it was funny because
Yeah.
you see like Northwestern players last year that were or Northwestern fans were like, wow, he could barely get minutes for us last year and we sucked or whatever. It's like, well, yeah. The difference being that TJ Otzelberger is a much better coach than what you have. This is a much better team and a much better program. And we've got a blueprint for exactly how to use him, because the guy that he is very similar to was just a second team All-American last year on this same team. There's an easy spot that Trey Singleton fits right into. Is he a day one starter? Maybe. I don't know. It just depends. At minimum, it's a guy you can bring off the bench and be like, okay, here's our point forward that we're pretty comfortable, leading us down the floor in transition and passing out of it, playing some decent defense, rebounding, all that. I am very high on Trey Singleton. I think early on, early Big 12 play may take a second to adjust to the Big 12, because the Big 10 was poopy this year. It was bad. The Big 10 was bad. And it wasn't as bad as the SEC or the ACC, but it was not very good. And the level of physicality in the Big 12 is a notable step up from the Big 10. And so, I think there's a chance that it takes him a game or two just to get acquainted to it, bump around a little bit, get a sea legs under him. But I'm very high on on the long-term outlook of Trey Singleton.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, like you said before, the comparison is right there with Jefferson. He's definitely not going to be as good of a playmaker day one, but he's a guy that you can bring into the system and develop and get him for more than a year, hopefully. I did like the competitiveness that he played against good teams this year.
He was impressive in the exhibition game against us.
Oh, yeah. He dropped, I think he had 14 and 8, I think, or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
But I mean, he had 17 against Howard, which whatever, but 17 and 18 points and then 18 boards against Penn State. He had 14 points against Nebraska. And then he had 12 points against UCLA, 8 and 4 against Illinois. So they had 10 points against Iowa. So, I mean, he played well when they needed him to against good teams. And obviously you'll see a lot more good teams in the Big 12 next year than you will the Big 10. So definitely going to be a transition for him.
He didn't shoot a great percentage from the outside last year, but I think if you get him a chance to work with this staff, work with Buckley and get that, I think I don't think his shot's broken or anything like that. I think you just got to get him some confidence, get him, finding some looks and rhythm and stuff like that. I think is he ever going to shoot 40%? I don't know, probably not, but you can get him up to 35% of it on a time. You can get him to 30% this year. You should be able to get to 30% this year, get up to 35% next year type of thing, where, you don't need him to be a knockdown shooter, but, just be good enough that defenses can't just leave him out there, be okay with him taking it. I mean, it's worth noting too that Joshua Jefferson was obviously very good. Everyone felt very comfortable with him taking threes pretty much whenever he wanted to. But towards the end of the year, he struggled a little bit. Didn't knock as many shots down towards the end of the year. But he shot 35%. I mean, it wasn't like he was a dead nuts automatic 3-point shooter. He was solid for his size. And he shot good enough for what you needed him to shoot. But I think I don't see any reason that on a 1 or 2 year timeline here that Trey Singleton can't get up in that neighborhood. His shot doesn't have any his jump shot doesn't have any major hitches or anything like that. It's correctable for sure.
Yeah, and one thing that was actually one thing I did want to highlight. At the start of the year, he was shooting threes consistently. He shot 3, 2, and then he had a good stretch of a couple games where he was 5 for 5 over the course of those 4 games, and then after the South Carolina game, that's when it really started to go downhill for his confidence. So he's definitely not incapable of hitting them, even if he goes out there and hits 1 or 2 a game, just to help the defense stay honest and really open up other driving lanes for guys.
For sure. Oh, I love this one too. Nick Weiler Babb would have been another one that would have been awesome under TG. His athleticism would be so good on this defense. It's a shame that there's so many of these great athletes that kind of got wasted under Brome. It's a shame because there's some like Cam Lard would have been awesome, and Cam Lard might have not gotten out of control if he was under Otts, and like Lindo Wigginton would have been awesome. Tyrese Halliburton would have been crazy. I mean, he was good with Steve Prohm, but like Tyrese Halliburton,
it's a different story. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Overall, though, I think the other part of this one, I think you've got lots of great fits here. There's very clear, like you can look at like this guy and be like, this is what this guy's going to do on this team in this system. Like Leon Bond, we know what he's going to do. We know what Trey Singleton's going to do. We know what Jaquan Johnson's going to do. We know what those guys are going to do. And they're hand and glove fits for guys that were just already here or like a very obvious substitution. And most importantly, they're done. Like they've got their roster. I mean, they don't need to do anything else. They know exactly what they're doing. We're not going to be sitting here for the next month wondering, oh, are we going to be able to win a bidding war for this dude from Monmouth or something like that? Like they've got exactly who they want. TJ's got his guys right away. And sure, is there someone that could show up in the portal in 2 weeks to be like, man, he'd been a really good fit here? Maybe, but this is a very much a situation like bird in hands were 2 in the bush. Like you've got guys picked out that are exactly what you want in your system. That I think having that is so valuable.
Yeah, they definitely prioritize visits and they struck gold.
Question here: out of the 5 transfers, who has the highest bust potential? That's interesting. So the great part about in my mind, like Jaquan Johnson and Leon Bond are very high floor guys. As long as they come in and play really, really tough defense, I think they're gonna be high minutes guys. Like the floor for those two is so high. Like I guess relative to expectations, I guess maybe Trey Singleton, because people are going to expect him to come in and be Joshua Jefferson at some point. And which is unfortunately like massive shoes to fill. But maybe him, I guess.
Be able to do that on day one. Yeah,
like, I just don't think. I don't think like people don't have like a lot of expectations for Taj Manning necessarily. Like I don't think they're expecting him to do a ton. So whatever he gives you is either enough or more than you expected. I don't. And Prather is one I don't think people are going to expect to. I don't think people are going to count on him to come in and drop 15 points out of nowhere type of thing. Like if he comes in and gives you 8 good minutes and gives you 6 or 8 points, I think you're happy with that. That's plenty good enough. I guess Trey Singleton only because of the expectations that will be placed upon him and the shoes he has to fill. But I think he's also the highest. I think he's also the highest ceiling guy for sure.
Oh, for sure, definitely, yeah. His defense is there. The potential's right there. Hopefully, he can just become a little bit more of a playmaker and keep developing the outside shot. Yeah,
absolutely. Anything else? So, God, guess I'm Elon, Florida, Kentucky, North Carolina. Well, one, I think right now, I think he's going to be in the NBA. If not, Florida.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think probably Florida. When can these guys get on campus? I would imagine probably pretty soon. Probably at the end of the semester, I'd imagine.
Yeah, definitely.
So at beginning of May, sometime in May, I would guess like at the end of the semester is when they'll be there because that's when they can start summer classes and all that. So which is funny because as much as we think of this as like almost a semi-pro sport at this point because of the yearly free agency, they do still have to take classes while they're there. So which at this point is now just kind of funny because it's like there's some of these guys that are like they're clearly just taking a bunch of bullshit online classes and stuff like that. Like they're not.
Definitely.
I mean, Do we think Cameron Boozer was taking engineering courses, this spring? Probably
Maybe.
not. Probably not. My guess is his class load this spring was probably not particularly high. But we got anything else you want to add on basketball before I move over to foosball?
I don't think so. I think if we leave the rest of the time for football, that'd be good.
I think that'll work. So let's move on to football. And we did get some commitments this week, but first we should talk about why everything sucks. And I want Meteor to hit my house because Braden Alls is down for the season with an ACL tear, as confirmed by Jimmy Rogers in his press conference at the end of last week. So that sucks. I am tired of knee injuries. I do not understand why this must continue to happen to us. So apparently it happened during a routine blocking drill and may have just gotten rolled up on or something like that. So
just sucks.
I think the defense will be fine, but like Braden Alls was a guy that was probably going to be able to, he's going to be in contention for like Big 12 newcomer of the year. Maybe in line for a first or second team all Big 12 kind of he's that good of a player. Like he's probably had he played up to his potential this year, he's probably a day 2 pick in the NFL draft. He's a really good player. I guess let me propose a silver lining to you and see what you think about this. He's going to take a medical redshirt this year because he wants to get Power 5 tape on. He wants to get Power 5 tape before he tries to go pro. Right now he's a true senior, so he does actually have a regular red shirt as well as a potential medical red shirt. If he's out for the season, medical red shirt, it's fine. Hear me out. By bringing him back for 2027, you don't have to burn your only years of Braden Alls on a team that is trying to rebuild / reload off of a roster with 80 something new players. You can be established for a year. You can have your guys in the program. You can be a year further into this and then have Braden Alls' senior year. That's my proposed silver lining to this.
It's a really good outlook. It really is. And that whole offseason, it's gonna give him that much more time to get his feet back under him and come back even stronger. So I mean, he might even be better than he was coming in. Definitely, at least like strength and conditioning wise.
I would say this is a very different situation. Mason Williams was at best a rotation player next year, probably. And now in the transfer portal, he has been recruited over essentially. His is a back issue that, those just like don't get better. You're like, if you have back problems now, you're just gonna have back problems. And in comparison to Braden Alls, who will slot in and be a first team all Big 12 safety right away. And anymore with modern medicine, when you tear your ACL, you typically come back stronger than you did before because of all the rehab. Kind of the same way as an Achilles is when you tear an Achilles and you have the surgery, you come back, you do all the rehab, your Achilles is stronger than it was before. Like two different situations. And, Mason Williams he'll go down to get playing time because he wasn't going to be a starter probably on this team, on this upcoming team. Braden Alls will come back in 2027 and he will be plug and play starting free safety right there. So
without a doubt,
different situations for sure. I mean, like, I guess there is the possibility, but without him putting any new tape on the field this year, I would be pretty surprised if he left.
Yeah, the only way that I would see that, and I mean, even if that's even remotely possible, is if Ross Watson leaves, and if he wants to follow his coach. But I don't see that happening.
I wouldn't see that especially because from my read on the situation, this is not like including any like real true insider info, but my read on the situation is that Jesse Bobbitt is going to be on short list to become a head coach at some point in the fairly near future. next. Like if the defense is really good this year, maybe Jesse Bobbitt gets a look at a G5 school, or G6, I guess, at a group of 6 school. And if that's the case, from my read on the situation is that Ross Watson would probably be the natural successor to that, to step into the DC role. So like, I think maybe that would be the situation in which he would leave, but I don't see why Ross Watson would leave, considering he could be in line to be the defensive coordinator theoretically, I suppose, as soon as next season, if Jesse Bobby gets a head coach offer after this season. Since he'll be at a Power 5 school, and if the defense is really good with all these new players, it'll be like, wow, look at how good Iowa State's defense is with this whole new roster. Wow, this defensive coordinator is awesome. Maybe we should give him a shot, type of thing. You can pretty easily like see the social media posts that show up if Iowa State's Iowa State puts out a top 25 defense, top 20 defense in the country this season, and they'll be like, okay, well, Jesse Bobby just did that with a whole bunch of new players. We can give an offer, type of thing. Ross Watson slides right in. So, that's kind of my thought on it. So really to piggyback off of you, I just don't see a scenario why he would leave unless like something off the field happened. But again, I don't know why that would happen.
Yeah.
It sucks. But that's the silver lining I'm going to choose to look at it through. Is just say, we're going to get him back once this whole thing is more established for, a year down the road, type of thing, where I would say it should be better in 2027 than it is in 2026, regardless of how 2026 goes. 27 should be better.
For sure.
And you'll have Braden Alls back, which is awesome. And the nice thing is, like, even if it doesn't really matter if he gets his medical red shirt or not. Like, he qualifies for a medical red shirt, but if for some reason the NCAA decided to be stupid, he still has a regular red shirt available to him as well. So like, you can always do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which also means that, like, let's say theoretically the team is in contention in November for a playoff spot or something like that, and he's about ready to go, which that would be about the timeline about, where he could theoretically be, middle November or something like that. He could theoretically be like on the way to being ready to go, type of thing. The door would be open for him to return and keep his red shirt and just play those last 4 games of the regular season. Yeah.
The only way that I would see that being possible is if we're in contention for a Big 12 championship.
Right, right. I think if it's anything less than that, they're not bringing him back. And plus, if you're already in that spot, why upset the apple cart and bring in a new guy that hasn't played all season?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
There's almost a 0% chance of that happening. But it sucks either way, because it's just. But from what I understand, from what Jimmy Rogers was saying, it seems like they feel pretty good about the secondary right now. So that's worth noting, I guess, that there is some depth back there.
Take a look at some.
Before we do that, we should talk about the absolute fucking hilarity is that Iowa just had to vacate 4 wins in the 2023 season because they tampered to get Cade McNamara. Can you like
the epitome
that's
of
so
football.
funny. That's so funny. That is getting caught cheating on a test that you failed anyways.
And lost $1 million that too.
That's so funny. It's so funny because Cade McNamara, even at his best, was never a player worth tampering for. No. Not one. And it's funny too because Kirk Ferentz released a statement earlier today. He's like, I'm disappointed that we self-reported that I accidentally contacted him a few hours before I was allowed to. It's like, shut the fuck up, Kirk. You broke the rules. Stop trying to get everybody to feel sympathy because you broke the rules. Like, it's funny though. It's a shame that they weren't able to vacate that Minnesota game and make Cooper DeJean, make Cooper DeJean's not fair catch disappear. They still have to live with that forever, which is also really funny.
They won't be able to ever outlive that. That's golden.
It's very funny.
It's like,
So yeah, shout out to Kirk Ferentz for tampering and getting caught tampering to acquire Cade fucking McNamara. Now hold on. No, I will not stand for this Sammy Richardson slander. I will not stand for it. Sammy Richardson was the maybe single biggest wasted talent I would say has had in the last 2 decades. I will go to my grave that if in 2018 in that Oklahoma State game, if you plunked Sam Richardson out there instead of Brock Purdy, the exact same thing would have happened. Exact same thing. Sam Richardson was a dude. He was really good, and he played for a shitty offensive coordinator and on a bad team for a coach that didn't know how to use him properly. I will not stand for Sam Richardson slander. I will not have it.
Who knows what kind of a player he'd be like under TJ Otzelberger.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm a firm believer that Sam Richardson was every bit as talented as Brock Purdy was. If you just swapped them, they would have had each other's careers if you just changed places. I firmly believe that. And maybe you could say Sam Richardson his career is a little bit better because he wasn't quite as like fucking chaotic as Brock was at times. Oh yeah, throw another pick versus TCU. Yeah, famously Brock never had a bad turnover against TCU. Yeah, that's how that goes. Anyways, he's got me fired up slandering Sam Richardson like that. Anyways, let's talk about some commitments here. We'll go through a little bit of tape here. We won't go super long in these guys, but 3 new commitments this week for football team, and Jimmy Rogers are expecting a couple more this week, which is interesting. That was a shocking level of transparency on his part in terms of recruiting. Never heard Campbell get anywhere close to that talking about recruits.
No,
to the point where Jimmy Rogers is actually like sort of bumping up on what he's allowed to talk about with the incident, because they're not until they're signed, they're not actually allowed to like say their names in press conferences. Like you're not allowed to, like he's not allowed to say, yeah, we love Gavin. We say, oh yeah, we've got some good pieces in this thing. You're not allowed to specifically mention that. Otherwise that is an NCAA recruiting violation. So like he basically gave us the dead maximum of what he can like legally give us, but that's still way more than Campbell ever gave us. Yeah. Redbird came on right at the right time. Yeah. Well, that's because Donnie Rickles is in here talking some fucking mad shit about Sam Richardson. Calling him Cade McNamara and some bullshit. All right, first one up. Gavin Erickson Staten, offensive tackle at Lombard, so Chicago. I guess one thing I want to bring up here about all 3 of these guys is all 3 of them have good offer lists. Where Iowa State beat out some good schools. They're not, this guy's not, he's not ranked on 247 at all, but you see, beat out Kansas State, Minnesota, Missouri, and a few good FCS G5 programs, stuff like that. I've got some tape pulled up of him. 6'5", 270. They're going to put at least 30, 40 pounds on that kid before he sees too much of the field. But let's pull up some Gavin Erickson Staten tape here. So they got him at right tackle. I mean, we're on offensive tackle tape in high school, so he's going to be going up against undersized defensive ends where he's just pushing dudes into the parking lot. But you still really like to see that level of aggression. I mean, literally blocking that dude out of the end zone. That's freaking sweet. Love that. One thing I do see right away here, though. Let me go back to that. Go back to the beginning of that play. So I don't love this technique right here. I'd like his butt to be down. I'd like his butt to be down, back arch a little bit more, have a little bit better, be a little bit more face up here. But this is one where he can still just kind of win with raw physicality, pushing his dude out of the way. Creating a good hole. I mean, this is a good, they can keep working on technique here, but you can't teach aggression. And he plays physical. I like it a lot. got anything you want to add on Gavin here?
No, I think he's got good footwork and his willingness to finish the play. Like, I mean, you always see the 1 or 2 shoves, and he's still going at it, even when the play's 5-10 yards down the field. Like, you always love to see that.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying here too, Red. Yeah, Redbird's right on it too. Is his pad level's too high right now, and like right here, I really, really don't like. I don't like how he's standing here. He's his center of gravity is too high, and right here, like he's playing way too high there. But that's stuff that can be fixed. Like you can fix that stuff, but you can't fix the aggression that he plays with. You know, like you said, playing through the whistle, playing through the end of the play. I would say he's a little bit more of a developmental prospect, but you can clearly see there's some, you can clearly see the potential there. Yeah. For sure. You can clearly see it. Let's watch this one here. Yeah. I mean, does a good job. Let's put the running back to not get tackled there. So I would call him a touch more of a developmental prospect there. All state wrestler though. I like that. At 285. I like that. You know, good aggression. You can reteach some of those technique things there, you know, playing with pad level too high, starting stance and all that. But you know, we'll keep an eye on him for sure. Why don't you talk a little bit about Cohen Hintzman here?
Yeah, so I mean, you can see he's already 3-star recruit. So that means there's some national attention on him. Really good offer list here. I mean, Arkansas, Cincy, Houston, and Kansas State. I mean, beating out Houston nowadays after they got their damn good recruiting class, like that's always
beating out
good.
Houston is a notable thing now.
Mm-hmm. Beating K-State, that's always good as well. And the Arkansas offer is also interesting as well. But 6'7", 285, he'll put on some weight as well. But I mean, this guy's gonna be a dude.
This is one. He's much closer to he'll be ready sooner than Gavin over there. A little bit of power eye action here out of the left tackle spot. Just driving people back in there. Love to see that. I want to see where his technique's at. Still kind of hunched over there. You can see how a lot of his, like we got some other guys here playing with some nice form here. He's a little bit hunched over here, so I'd like to see some more flexibility that they need to work on with him a little bit. But again, can't teach the aggression. And to a certain extent, you just got to have guys that want to just get out there and fuck somebody up. Yeah, does a good job. I mean, just does a good job finishing stuff down the field. Would like to see him not just like, stand over the dude right there. But let's see where we're at here. Oh, that was him playing defense. I was like, what the hell? I was like, it's a weird clip to put out there. But get him as a nice polling blocker here.
He's fast.
Getting down.
Got out there too.
Yeah, he absolutely did. Hung with the play.
Nice little chip block there.
Yeah, good chip block there, and then got to the second guy. Yeah, I mean, like I said, plays hard. He's got a better starting spot than and him doubling his defensive end is nice too, because you got to be aggressive to do that too. So
he's quick.
Yeah, he's quick.
Real quick.
So I like this pickup here. I think he's going to be a nice player.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Yeah, he's playing out of this. He's playing out of like just a heavy power run offense here too. So he's got some polish as far as that stuff goes. Got him on defense, nice. Defensive end. We got him on the left. Got him as like a tackle.
Pancake the guy.
Yeah. So, this guy's probably a little bit more not pro ready, but a little bit more, I guess sort of, definitely he's a little bit more, he's going to be ready to play at Iowa State sooner probably than Gavin. But again, just a nice offer list. It's, you're beating out some good schools here. I like this pickup a lot. I think he's going to be a nice player for us. down the road.
Save the best for last.
Save my favorite for last here. Bryson Thompson, wide receiver out of San Antonio. We're going to watch some tape here, and the player comp here becomes very obvious very quickly. But first, I want to look at, again, currently unranked on 247, but look at this offer list. Baylor, Mississippi State, Oklahoma State, TCU, Texas Tech, Vanderbilt. You've got some nice programs here that are taking a look at him. And you watch some tape here. It's real hard to not see exactly who we're talking about here. 5'10" wide receiver, just ran a 10 500 meter dash last weekend. This dude's got Jalen Noel written all of them. Nice concentration there in the corner of the end zone. Getting his guy off the line here. Quarterback just consistently just not. Actually, I want to take a look at that one again. Was it a bad throw, or did he kind of misjudge it? Let's check that out again. So he's taking his guy here. So he's already kind of turned around here. Probably didn't. He may have misjudged that, but still it's a good catch either way. We get him on a jet sweep here. He's got the speed to get around the edge and get somebody, and he's got good finishing speed there, good long speed. This is, like I said, this is just Jalen Noel. This is just another Jalen Noel, basically. Downfield, good concentration on the catch. Even though it gets clotheslined by the corner. Get him out of the slot here. This gets tipped, and he still catches it right there. That's a crazy play. It's
great concentration.
Look at him in a lot of bubble screens, stuff like that, but just a nice route there into the middle of the field on a skinny post there. Kind of a funky route. Does a good job coming back to it. Would be nice if the quarterback would actually hit him in stride instead of underthrowing him the whole time. But
definitely not a quarterback tape.
Nope, not quarterback tape. But this guy's a plug and play, easily Jalen Noel comp. Really quick, on a little bit on the smaller side, but really quick down the field. Good job, high pointing the ball, good concentration on the more difficult catches. What more could you ask for, I guess, than just another Jalen Noel, one of the best, of the many, many good receivers that came out of the last decade, out of the Campbell era. He was one of the best ones. You could make a case for him. I think he's a is he fifth? A clean fifth? Because you got Allen, Hakeem, X, and Jaden. Would you put him over Jaden?
I would not. I don't.
Talent-wise, I don't think I would. In terms of legacy, I guess. But
yeah, legacy, I guess, because he was here for 4 years,
right?
Versus 2.
I think he's a clean fifth, as but that fifth best receiver of the last decade is a really, really good fifth.
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah, for sure.
And it's hard with Hakeem Butler too, because his was really like 1 year, but his 1 year was insane.
Yeah, it was a year of all time, really, with as many touchdowns he had. Oh my gosh!
And he was physically dominant. I think if you'd been able to keep Hakeem for another year, man, it
was really smooth transition between Lazard to Hakeem.
To him. And then 2019, their best receiver was probably Michael Petway, but he was very solid.
Yeah,
Deshaunte Jones was very good.
I was going to say Deshaunte Jones. Yeah.
And then you go right into Xavier Hutchinson, and then you're just out from there. Xavier into Jaden and Jalen. So
who do you think will be the dude or a couple dudes this year?
Good question. At receiver specifically, or just in general?
Yeah, and at receiver specifically.
I want to believe in Dom Overby. I want to, because the athleticism, the size is clearly there. Like if he can keep working on his craft, keep working on his route running and his hands, especially, and be a more consistent catcher of the football, it's there for Dom Overby to be a really, really dominant receiver. He just got to do it. Like I said, I want to believe in him. I think, the kid from Michigan State, whose name is totally escaping me right now.
Is it Boyd?
Boyd, yes. Evan Boyd. Yeah.
Evan Boyd.
I think right now he would probably be a clubhouse leader to start, along with Overby. If Omari Hayes is healthy, it sounds like Omari Hayes. I think Omari Hayes was a little banged up right now, but if he's healthy through fall camp, I would be surprised if he's not in the mix. Sound like Carter Paps pulled his hammy, so he's been a little limited this spring. I don't know where he figures in this. He's a Washington State kid. Let me see.
He was good for them.
He was quite good for them. Yeah, Evan Boyd, Dom Overby, Omari Hayes would maybe be the first three I would look at and be like, okay, these three are probably your starters. After that, you're looking at like Cody Jackson from Tarleton State, might be in the mix.
There's a couple guys under there.
Yeah, Malcolm Watkins is he's a new true freshman that was originally committed to Washington State, then flipped to Iowa State with the new staff. Somewhere in there, one of those guys, I would guess. I think did Ray Coffey come over with the staff? Or he was a transfer in. He's a transfer in because he's David Coffey's older brother. He came in from Olivet Nazarene. Okay, sure.
Oh.
But I right now I would say I think of the receivers, I think he will the leading receiver this season as far among the actual wide receivers will be probably either Evan Boyd or I'm going to say Evan Boyd or Dom Overby. If Omari Hayes is healthy, then could be Omari Hayes.
Yeah,
I know it's kind of a coward's way out taking three, but those are my guys. Those are the ones that seem to me to be a step ahead.
Yeah, I think with how early it is in the season, I don't think it's bad to have a couple guys that come to mind here, and that just shows you how many guys that there can be that can step up and catch a lot of balls downfield and make some good plays. Yeah,
and the part I remember with the passing game too is that they'll get the running backs involved. Aiden Flora and Cam Petaway will both probably be, either will both line up in the slot at some point or another. They'll both be asked to be receivers as well. If you could pick a Rhodes player on this up and coming team, who would you pick? I'm assuming you're not counting Alan Lazard and Hakeem Butler as Rhodes players.
Yeah.
I mean, even though as Alan Lazard played most of his career under Rhodes, or half of his career, I should say. So let's say of guys that never played for Matt Campbell, let's say just Paul Rhodes guys.
Man,
I think your obvious candidates here would be AJ Klein. I think Kelechi Osemele is one of them.
Oh yeah, holy shit.
I think Tom Farniok would be a candidate here. I think Jarvis West could be a candidate here. Quentin Bundridge.
Kamari Cotton-Moya.
No. Well, he was a Campbell guy.
Oh, was he? Oh man.
Yeah, he's a Campbell guy. Well, he started out with Rhodes, but he finished under Campbell. And since we're saying guys that never played for Campbell, a fun name, Josh Lenz. Just for a fun name to throw out there. Deion Broomfield is an interesting name to throw out there. I think they're like, if you're looking at positions of need, I don't know if I would take a safety right away. And if you are, if you're also looking at safety, you could look at Jacquez Washington would be another one to take a look at. Yeah, I would say one of those guys, probably. I think right now I would be most inclined to look at AJ Klein. I think would be my first pick.
Mm-hmm. Not
So
Richardson.
yeah. I did not bring up Sammy Richardson only because I'm very intrigued by Jalen Raynor. Jalen Raynor is easily the best mobile quarterback that I would say has had since Seneca Wallace. Easily the best athlete they've had there.
For sure.
I mean, like,
for sure.
I guess like Jerome Tiller is fine, but he was not a good quarterback. He did beat Nebraska, I guess. Leonard Johnson is an interesting pick, but again, position of need. It sounds like they feel pretty good about corner. Leonard Johnson may not be a position of need. There would be the only counter argument to Leonard Johnson, but obviously fantastic player. I'm not going to say Sam Richardson only because I do believe in Jalen Raynor being a very good fit here, and I'm very intrigued by his athleticism. He's like Rocco and Brock were both like, and even Hunter were both like athletic enough to be effective in a run game, but they're not like great run. Like you're not designing a ton of runs for them.
Yeah.
Jalen Raynor is a guy that he can scramble out of the pocket and pick up 40. Like he can go, he can be an explosive runner out of the passing game.
It's he's almost a Lamar Jackson comp. I mean, if you ask me, I mean,
almost,
probably not the quality of passer, but definitely as mobile as he is.
I'm fine with that comp in terms of his mobility. I'm absolutely fine with it. And I mean, frankly, in terms of his level as a passer and a runner, I mean, Seneca is not a ridiculous comparison. We'll see what he looks like. And, and Seneca was doing stuff that was unusual for the time. What he was doing would still be impressive today, but after seeing Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts and stuff do their thing for forever, what Seneca did back then is maybe not quite as impressive, but like Jalen Raynor is athletic enough to make all of those same plays for what it's worth. And Seneca was like this is the thing is Seneca was so far ahead of his time. Dude was like doing what he was doing while taking snaps under center out of the I formation and shit like that. Like Seneca in a modern offense would be a lot of fun. And he'd probably look a lot like Jalen Raynor. So that is why I did not say Sam Richardson, because I am intrigued by Jalen Raynor.
Yeah. I did like the confidence.
Seneca have gotten in the portal back then. Oh God. I mean, in today's market, I mean, he's probably a $3 to $5 million quarterback. Yeah.
Man. It's hard to think about.
2 to 3 anyways.
I did like the confidence that the new staff has been putting in for Zane Flores and how close that QB battle has been.
They have not buried him in the QB race.
No, that's really surprised me. I didn't realize how high they would be on Zane Flores coming out of Oklahoma State, but I guess they saw potential, and he's done pretty well so far. From what I think,
people were quick to bury him because Oklahoma State was so bad last year, and his stats don't look great. But like that was the worst Power 5 offense, bar none. Like there was like Purdue was shit. Like there was a lot of bad teams last year. Oklahoma State was the worst one, and it might not have like Purdue might have taken Oklahoma State to the woodshed last year. Like Oklahoma State was terrible. So don't judge Zane Flores just based on what he did for a terrible Oklahoma State team. So that's I think, and that's why I like you said, I appreciate that he's doing that he's at least like giving the lip service that Zane Flores is in this and stuff like that. How long will he stay in the battle with Jalen Raynor? You mean you would hope Jalen Raynor wins out that quarterback?
Oh, definitely. Oh, for sure. You don't bring in Jalen Raynor if you're not expecting him to start day one.
Right. I totally agree with that. But they're making him work for it. They're giving Zane Flores every opportunity he needs. That's the important part too. Yeah. I mean, Flores is probably a more natural thrower of the ball than Jalen Raynor. Just doesn't have quite the same legs that Raynor does. And I guess it depends on what you need out of him too. And Flores might just be a really good fit for him offensively. It's just in terms of his skill fit. So because this is, we're anticipating this to look somewhere in the same neighborhood as like what the Lions and the Bears have run the last few years with Ben Johnson's influence. We're assuming that this offense will look similar-ish to that. And that one, you don't need a crazy mobile quarterback. You need him to be accurate. You need him to be smart, and you need him to be accurate. And if Flores can do all of that and his athleticism is just good enough, then he can be a good quarterback in this offense. But if Jalen Reagor is also smart and accurate and just also offers elite athleticism at that position, that's just more upside available to you. So
exactly, yeah,
that's just what you're looking at.
Yeah.
It says I think there's a good shot Flores is QB1 in 27, which I think is absolutely on the table.
Definitely.
Poor Connor Moberly, sure. But like he'll get an opportunity in 27 for sure. Yeah. Don says I've followed ISU very closely and probably can only name 5 to 10 players. I couldn't imagine being a kid or no. Honestly, we're kind of in the same boat. Like, Carter and I are more you and Carter and a lot, everyone watching the stream right now is probably, more tapped into Iowa State than 99% of Iowa State fans. And even I could probably name like maybe 15 or 20 guys if I'm really thinking about it. But it's tough. I mean, it's just, it's unfortunately it's just kind of part of college football now.
Mm-hmm. And there's plenty of time to learn dudes before the season starts. Because when you have 80 new guys, it's hard to get all of them on first name basis.
Oh, but they're probably still getting themselves on a first name basis at this point, and they can see each other without helmets on. So like, even at best we're getting numbers and helmets. We're like, okay, I think that's this guy. But like, we could watch old film and say like, oh, okay, that was Jaden. That was that was Marcus Neal, or that was TJ Tampa, or that's Rocco, or whatever. We can look and be like, okay, that's exactly who this player is, and we just can't do that yet because we've been it's just been shot out of this like a t-shirt cannon, just the whole 80 new players instead of getting a chance to learn like 20 new players a year. Now you have to learn 80, so it's just it takes time.
I think once the spring showcase happens, is that next week or 2 weeks?
It's on the 25th, so it's a week from, it's a week from this coming Saturday.
Yeah,
so just under 2 weeks away.
So yeah, once we preview that and once we see who the dudes are, then that's when we'll start to be able to definitely get more familiar.
For sure, absolutely. Alrighty, anything you want to touch on before I wrap her up for this week?
I don't think so. I think we hit on most of the points that we wanted to.
Absolutely. Well, Carter, I hope you had fun on your first show.
That was good.
Yeah. Next week. Yeah.
Had a good time.
Absolutely. So everybody, thank you for tuning in to Iowa State Cyclones Live here on the Voice of College Football Network. For Carter, I'm Levi. We'll see you guys here back again next Tuesday. Everyone have a great rest of your week.